Hello, welcome to the Black Salt Mirror. I will be somewhat unexpectedly channeling a message from the Morrigan today. She has been with me the longest of any of the deities. I believe that we have some long-standing connection. If you have never worked with the Morrigan, she is a death goddess. She foresaw her warriors in battle, and her presence feels extremely ominous. It's like walking down a dark street at night and having this feeling like something frightening is following you. That is what she feels like. And that is because she's a death goddess. One of the ways that she would appear in the old stories was as the washer at the ford. So the men who were going to be fighting against her men in battle would come across an old woman washing blood out of fabric in the river, and that was her telling them that they would die in battle. And she appears as a crow as well, and she flies out with her people. She is very visceral. Some of the gods can get a bit more in the weeds in a way, into politics. The death gods, the war gods, they tend to be a lot more basic, like human needs. What can I do for you? Where are we going so that everyone's okay? And deeply loyal. I had started to get a lot of this message as I was... There's not always confirmation with lips. Something's not being said. I was starting to get a lot of this message as I was setting up here. And she was saying there's a lot of misinformation, I guess is the best way to put it into words. Like, there are a lot of people who are doubting what they are, and they're afraid to be who they are right now in their authenticity because it's different, and because there's a lot of pressure right now not to do that. And that's the opposition, she says. That is them trying to suppress what we're growing. You, who you are, is the new age. It's this new battle. I mean, she's here to do a battle, but she's here to guide you through battle and revenge. She's very, very vengeful, and she's angry right now. And she says you need to step up and be yourself because they're oppressing you, because they're holding you down, and they're telling you that what you are is wrong. And it's not wrong. You are my children. And I am going to protect you while you come out. It's like coming out of the closet, but in a much more violent way. She's showing me Martin Luther King Jr. and the Black Panthers. And they used to get their asses kicked. Like, they got the shit beat out of them regularly for protesting. And they went out every day knowing that was going to happen to them, because that was how change is affected. And she's like, it's going to get bloody. YouTube is going to hate this video. But it's a war god who's coming to you and telling you to watch for the crows and the ravens. You're probably going to see crows, but she's saying ravens. And if you've ever seen a raven, they're big. They're really big birds. That's why they tend not to be in cities, because they need more food. But they're huge. And you'll know if it's a raven and not a crow, because it's a big bird. Where I am right now, I grew up, and I never saw crows before. And I lived abroad for a long time in a place that had tons of crows, and I loved them. And I remember thinking when I came back, I'm gonna miss the crows. Except there are crows here now. And I can't remember if I just didn't notice the crows as a child, or if they came here for me, if they followed me here. They did follow me here. But they're always outside talking to me when I go out. And that's one of her signs, is the crows start talking to you. And they have a very distinctive way of talking. They squawk and they click. And you can always spot them in a tree. They don't hide like some of the smaller birds. They're big enough that they come out and you'll see them, and they're black. So they're usually obvious against the sky or like white sides. But if you started to see crows, that is a sign that the Morrigan is calling out to you. If you started to feel haunted, If it gets uncomfortable, you can ask her to back up. I've had to do that before. And the sensation will go away, and then you'll definitely know it was her. But that is her presence. She's not warm and cuddly. She's never been warm and cuddly. It is not her sense, her innate sense to be warm and cuddly. Like, it doesn't serve her. It's not a part of who she is. And she's saying, this is a guide for who you are. You can try and try and try to put feathers on a pig, but it will never fly. And that's what you're trying to do right now, she thinks, is that you are trying to put on a mask of what you think people want you to be, of who you've been told to be by people who are trying to suppress you, by people who don't want your sun energy. Sun in the first house is going to be very significant. People who have sun in the first house are truly themselves. People who have Mercury in the first house are chameleons, and they're useful in a different way. But sun in the first house people cannot be anything but themselves, because the sun is who you are, and the first house is who you are in your life. So you are you. And this will always have been a problem for you, because people don't like authenticity. It's a mirror to what they're not. They don't like seeing people who are comfortable in their skin. They don't like seeing people who are confident. They don't like seeing people who aren't looking around for approval. You can always tell when someone's not confident because of the way that they move. They tend to like jut around a lot. They're very fidgety. You can tell sometimes when they're walking, you're not even near them. And you can tell confidence. It's a smooth movement. It's not observant. It's focused. It's easy in a way, except that it's not easy, because strength is not easy. She wants me to tell you about something I've been noticing lately. I've been seeing a lot of messaging, and this is the oppressive messaging about how it takes strength to be vulnerable, which in a way is true if you understand what's being said. Like, it's easier to explode at people, it's easier to be toxic to people, except maybe not. It takes a lot of energy to be that way. However, when I hear it takes strength to be vulnerable, no, it doesn't. Children are vulnerable, not because they're strong, because they're weak and vulnerable. Old people are vulnerable, not because they're strong, because they're weak and vulnerable. Animals, trees, anything that can't stand up for itself. It takes strength to stand up for yourself. In the same way it takes energy to be evil. She's telling you there's a perspective that needs to be considered here. Everything is a choice. Everything is free will. Inaction is a choice. Subterfuge and obfuscation is a choice. What you pay attention to is a choice. What you react to is a choice. And she wants you to start to learn about observation, because you are a lookout. The most important part of a warrior's job is to know when to act and when to observe. And action should be based on much more observation and understanding. And that is why you've been trained to do this. That is why you've been trained to sit back and watch. And you're mad at yourself now because you were raised a warrior, but you were put through this struggle, these hoops, where you had to observe, and you had to not be a warrior, and you had to see what it felt like to be vulnerable. Many of you got sick, like me, and you were put in a situation where you didn't have the energy to fight, where you didn't have the energy to be yourself the way that you knew yourself to be. And she says that was her lesson to you, so that you could see what it's like to be vulnerable, and you could see what it's like to not have the choice that you now have again, that she's given back to you. She's released it. She's not standing on the scales anymore, she says. I see this vision of like this really big foot standing on like a cloth, so like somebody can't walk forward because their clothing's caught on this foot. She's like holding on to you so that you notice what control is being had upon you from outside. She wants you to notice what is exerting control on you. And she says you'll feel it in the body now. When you interact with toxic people that you grew up with, you'll feel it in the body. When you go out in the world and you see peace in the trees, you'll feel it in the body. When there's something coming, you'll feel it in the body. And it was trained into you this way to observe, so that you knew when to act and you knew when you were collecting information. And she'll say, you'll see this change in yourself now. And she wants you to note this change. And she wants you to write it down, that you see this change and how you see this change and what you feel in the body, because there's a reason she taught you this. And there is a reason that you need this skill, because now is a time of quiet, and it's easy to hear and feel the signals in stillness, but that's not always going to be the case. In the future, you're going to be in social situations. You're going to be overwhelmed by stimulus and other people's emotions coming into you, asking to be alchemized, because that is the thing that you can do. And you're going to be able to pick out which things you're supposed to be observing, which things you're supposed to be alchemizing, which things you're supposed to let wash through you. And like a beacon, as she taught you, you're going to be able to pick out the little tremors in the web, like a spider. That's how they feel things. Jiggly webs. And sometimes those things are too big, and they know that it's a bigger predator and they can't have it. With a little jiggle, and they run over and they wrap up their food. And this is what you've been taught, is your web. You are the spider. You need to know what's coming. You need to know what's yours to handle and what's not yours to let rip by. And you need to start feeling through the mist to the other spiders, her other children, because they're there too. And you can observe things together, and you can work together to see what's coming, to feel in your bodies, and you can compare. Not everybody feels things in the same way. Not everybody feels things in the same place. Could be your back, could be your chest, it could be a tingling down your arms, it could be a pit in your stomach, it could be a headache behind your eye. Everybody feels things differently, and everybody feels different things. Some people have an eye for the weather. Some people have a nose for the heart. And she wants you to figure it out, where you stand and what your niche is, so that you know your role in the upcoming battle. And she's taking on the washer of the ford. She's going to signal who's not going to make it. She's going to signal to you who's not on your side, who's not on your team. Because it's not cut and dry. It's not the people that you grew up with. It's not the people that you know. This is not a war of they're invading our land. This is a war of ideologies. This is a war of people who want to stay in the evil paradigm that had us in the last age, and people who want to move into the new timeline that's been shifted for us and come forward and build a beautiful new life that's sustainable with nature, where we're not destroying ourselves and each other, where we understand our place as mammals and humans and stewards of this place, this earth. It's a pretty simple message. I thought there was something more, but maybe that was not for now. Some of you haven't worked with the Morrígan before, and she's saying you're always welcome. Don't expect fuzziness or friendliness. She's not a cheerleader. She is a what you need kind of girl. She's not going to be there to hold your hand, but she will always show up for you when you need her. And she is a protector of the children. That is her biggest role, is the children. She is an excellent deity to work with if you are suffering a domestic violence situation. She will come for you. She will show up. And she will help you. But she is very practical. She'll kick your ass. If you're not moving fast enough, she will shove you off. Rip that carpet out from under you. Tough love, that's how she rolls. But she wants results. And she doesn't care if you're pussyfooting around. She's very blunt. But I've always understood that in her. And she feels like the earth. Not the sky, not some fuzzy love, not flowers. But she feels like metal and iron swords and the gravel beneath your feet and the smell of peat and blood. And there's something with Nevin, spelled Nemain. That's one of her aspects. She's a triple goddess. She takes different forms. The others are Baiv, B-A-D-B, and Macha, M-A-C-H-A. I think there's a Wikipedia entry. You should be able to find it. But there's some of you who have been researching it or who are looking into it or who came across something like that and you didn't know what it meant. And she's saying, look into the Irish mythologies, the old stories, the epics, and you'll find what you are looking for in those stories. Queen Maeve. And they'll tell you what you need to be doing and where you need to go. And some of you are traveling to Ireland, and she has places there that are sacred to her. And she says, go to my cave, and you can feel me. The Irish gods predate the Celts. A lot of people think they're Celtic. They're not. The Irish gods are very old. I feel like I'm waiting for the drips of the last bits of information. There's something for somebody about a flame. I haven't been lighting candles for my readings lately because this table that I have here is unstable. But I used the coffee table over there today. And when I spoke to her, the flame poofed out. And when I told her I needed help and thanked her, it went away on the match. All by itself. I didn't have to blow it out, which never happens, particularly not after I say thank you. But she's always here, and she's always watching. And you need only require assistance. But be on your path, and be quick about it, and be yourself. I love you. The Morrigan's watching you. I'll see you very soon.